Welcome to Royce City ISD's Test Security and Confidentiality Training for State Assessments. This training does not take the place of reading the appropriate manuals. For some of you, you will need to read only one. Others may have several manuals to read. It's important that no matter your experience level, you take the time to read these manuals annually. Each manual will outline test security and confidentiality for not only the entire state assessment program, but topics as they relate to specific assessments. Every manual is available online via the TEA website. This includes the Test Security Supplement, the District and Campus Coordinator Manual, and the Test Administrator Manuals for each assessment. After you complete all of your training activities, you will be asked to sign an oath of test security and confidentiality. When you sign this oath, you are attesting that you have not only read, but that you understand your responsibilities and that you understand the procedures as outlined in the manuals. Each person that participates in the state assessment program must attend test security and confidentiality training annually. This includes not only certified staff, but support staff including front office, warehouse, nurses, and many other members of the Royce City ISD team. Each year in early spring, you will attend annual test security and confidentiality training in its entirety. Then additional training is provided before each administration of a state assessment. Included in each test-specific training will be an abbreviated version of test security. These trainings are designed to highlight policies and procedures in the manual, but do not cover every detail. The state assessment program is governed by several laws, beginning with the Texas Education Code. The TEC requires policies and procedures are in place to ensure the security of assessment instruments. These policies and procedures are designed to monitor and maintain the security and confidentiality of the Texas State Assessment Program. Test security and integrity of the assessments is critical to ensuring valid test scores and providing standard and equal testing opportunities for all students. The next governing document is the Texas Administrative Code. The test administration procedures and training activities derived from the Commissioner's rules are designed to ensure validity, reliability, and security of the assessments. This is communicated in the Test Security Supplement. An updated Test Security Supplement is released each spring to ensure that policies and procedures are up to date and relevant. This training includes updated language to reflect the draft version of the current year's Test Security Supplement. The state assessment program is also governed by the Texas Penal Code, and violation of test security could result in criminal prosecution. Finally, any testing irregularities in test security or confidentiality may result in the invalidation of student results. When making hasty decisions that could affect test security, remember the implications of that decision may impact a student and lead to invalidation of their score. While many of you have been through test security training multiple times, it is often the seasoned test administrator that is involved in a testing irregularity. We as educators are so comfortable helping students when they have a question that it's often hard to shift gears and remind the student that we can't help, and then encourage them to do the best that they can on the assessment. Everyone is used to the hustle and bustle of a busy morning at a campus, and it's easy to walk out of a room and leave test materials unattended, but this is a testing irregularity, and it's important that we maintain test security. Districts are required to provide all eligible students who are in attendance during the administration of an assessment with the opportunity to participate in the test. Students who are in attendance on the day of testing and who choose not to participate or refuse to mark their answers on the answer document or in the online form will have their tests submitted for scoring as is. If this happens, it's important to notify your campus testing coordinator right away. Don't wait until the end of the test session. They will be able to guide you so that the situation can be handled discreetly, avoiding a disruption for other students. Students must record their answers in the time allowed. Remember, students with the designated support of extra time have until the end of the school day. Also, unless a student meets the eligibility criteria for a transcription, the student is expected to record his or her answers on the answer document or in the online form for the corresponding test. To ensure compliance with this procedure, you must return all scratch paper, graph paper, printed transcription documents, and reference materials to the campus testing coordinator. The CTC will follow the appropriate procedures to ensure destruction. You've heard the term testing irregularity several times already, but what is a testing irregularity? An irregularity occurs when conduct departs from the test administration procedures established in the resources and manuals provided by TEA. The TEA has two classifications for testing irregularities: procedural and serious. While we all make mistakes reading the manuals, attending training and asking questions can reduce the number of errors, because there is nothing worse than having to invalidate a student's scores because of the actions or inactions of an adult. Procedural irregularities are often minor errors or deviations, but no matter how unintentional, the error could affect a student. For instance, when a test administrator reads aloud the reading selection during the oral administration of a reading assessment, the entire test could be invalidated for all students in the room. In this scenario, the unintentional actions of the teacher have a direct impact on students. A serious testing irregularity often involves intention. These are severe violations of test security or confidentiality. When TEA interviews students during an investigation, almost always the students say something like, "I thought it was wrong, but I trusted my teacher. I didn't think my teacher would do something against the rules." No matter how well-intentioned, you cannot help a student with the assessment. You cannot look at or solve test questions, make copies, or view the test. Conduct of this type constitutes a serious testing irregularity. Receiving or providing assistance during TELPAS calibration activities, duplicating test materials, whether manually or electronically, and viewing a test without authorization are also serious testing irregularities. In some cases, such as transcribing a student's answers or conducting an oral or signed administration, you may see secure material. If so, you may not disclose or discuss that material with anyone. You may never use another person's Texas Assessment Management System account. If you need access and don't have it, talk with your CTC. They can create an account for you. Encouraging or assisting an individual in conduct that violates test security or confidentiality is also a serious testing irregularity. And remember, you have a responsibility to report. Failing to do so is a testing irregularity. It's better to report than not report and have a procedural irregularity become a serious irregularity. A person who engages in conduct prohibited by the test security supplement or in the other test administration materials may be subject to the following penalties: placement of a restriction on the issuance, renewal, or holding of a Texas teacher certificate, issuance of an inscribed or non-inscribed reprimand, suspension of a Texas teacher certificate for a set term, and revocation or cancellation of a Texas educator certificate. I've covered a lot of procedures for testing, but what is a test security violation, which is also a testing irregularity? Some things that are considered test security violations include using an electronic device during a test, unless specifically authorized to do so. Incorrectly managing an online test. For instance, students must log out of an online test when taking breaks. Allowing secure materials to be left unattended for any amount of time. Remember, student test tickets are secure materials and need to be handled the same way that you handle test booklets. Not reading the SAY directions as directed, or allowing unauthorized access to secure materials, or viewing those materials without permission. Last year, the Commissioner clarified information about removing or covering instructional displays. We don't need to sterilize our classrooms and hallways, but classroom teachers are responsible for preparing their rooms prior to test day. Administrators and campus testing coordinators need to verify that the environment is appropriate for testing and no instructional displays are visible that could provide a direct source of answers for the subject area assessments being administered. For the math assessment, things such as math tables for addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division facts. For science, graphics containing information such as moon phases, the water cycle, or human body systems. And for social studies assessments, historical timelines, or lists of historical figures and their accomplishments. Each year, irregularities occur because the test administrator deviates from the script. When working with certain grades or student groups, it may make managing materials easier if the test booklet numbers are pre-assigned. The campus testing coordinator may write or place a label in the upper right-hand corner of the test booklet with the student's name and ID number, but it cannot take the place of the student writing their name on the test booklet as read in the script. Also, in some cases, the teacher or CTC may write the test booklet number on the corresponding answer document, but it must be written above the boxes. The test administrator must still instruct the students to copy the numbers from the test booklet as stated in the script. Campus testing coordinators are encouraged to conduct accurate and thorough training sessions, but the responsibility for training doesn't stop there. You are responsible for clarifying and asking questions. If you're unsure or want clarification during or even after training, it's your responsibility to ask the campus testing coordinator. Don't ask a friend. Seek the answer from your campus testing coordinator. If you have a question about a roster, a seating chart, time limits, or any other documents, you need to speak with your CTC right away. The test administrator is responsible for verifying that the student has recorded their answers on the answer sheet and that it's done with a number 2 pencil. In the last 2 years, there has been an increase in the number of students using pen or liquid pencil on tests throughout the region. It's best for the campus to provide number 2 pencils instead of allowing students to bring their own. No matter how quickly you want to get back on regular schedule, you must check your materials in. Someone needs to verify the count and sign for the materials. If there is an irregularity or you suspect an irregularity has occurred, report it to your campus testing coordinator immediately. All possible irregularities must be investigated immediately by the district or campus testing coordinator. The campus testing coordinator will request a written statement from all parties involved. All of the policies and procedures for state assessments emphasize active monitoring. What is active monitoring and why is it important? Active monitoring is acting responsibly to protect the confidentiality of the assessment and ensure proper administration. You must be actively engaged in observing students' behaviors at all times. You should move about the testing area regularly and ensure that you can observe students' actions from multiple vantage points. You may never be engaged in other activities. Failure to actively monitor a test session could lead to the invalidation of students' tests, and the student could lose an assessment opportunity. Some configurations of testing rooms allow all students to be monitored from 1 or 2 vantage points. Others require the test administrator to move about or reposition themselves more frequently. Unauthorized viewing is viewing, glancing, or flipping through the test content for any reason. It is acceptable to look at the top of the page to see the subject, but not at the test content. Looking at a test booklet to determine whether a student marked responses, reviewing a booklet to determine if the student used strategies, or memorizing test questions are all examples of unauthorized viewing. In the rare case when transcription is necessary, the test administrator needs to verify that the student has finished their test. The best way to accomplish this is to transcribe the student's test while the student is still in the secure environment. Remember, when something happens, don't look at the test booklet. Instead, seek guidance from your campus testing coordinator. Breaks are one of the most common times that students discuss test content. During any break, including lunch, students should not be allowed to talk. Be aware of students keeping electronic devices in their possession as well, or students disregarding instructions. It is the test administrator's responsibility to check that the student has transferred all answers to the answer document. Failing to do so is a testing irregularity. In addition, once the student's testing time has ended, they cannot transfer the answers onto the answer document. It will be scored as is. Remember, each person participating in the testing program is directly responsible for reporting immediately to the campus or district coordinator any violation or suspected violation of test security or confidential integrity. If you notice that something is wrong before, during, or even after that test session, you need to notify the campus testing coordinator right away. Often we can correct the error so that the student can continue testing and not lose a testing opportunity. Never wait until the end of the test session to ask for clarification or help. The first step is to manage the test session so that the students can test without interruption when possible. This may mean that the campus testing coordinator will find another trained test administrator to cover your session so that the two of you can talk outside of the classroom. The CTC may then ask you to complete your statement. We ask that you complete your statement right away because all of the information is fresh in your mind. When you write a statement, you should tell the truth with as much detail and in the order of time. Your statement allows you to say what happened, in what order, and how. Having all of the information as quickly as possible helps us to determine if the irregularity is procedural or serious. If you are involved in a testing irregularity, whether directly or indirectly, it's important that you don't discuss the situation with persons not involved. By doing so, you involve them in the irregularity, and they may unintentionally give you misguided advice. If the irregularity is deemed serious, you will be notified. When submitting the irregularity to TEA, the district must include a plan of action to prevent the irregularity from occurring again. The campus testing coordinator will develop the plan of action for campus irregularities. These are the minimum responsibilities for testing personnel as outlined in the Test Security Supplement. Each person must attend test security training and the test-specific trainings. It's important that you ask questions when you're unsure. If needed, schedule an appointment with your campus testing coordinator to talk in private. Never guess. This usually leads to an irregularity. Most of your questions can be answered by reading the manual, but always ask for clarification when unsure. When you sign your oath, you are attesting that you have read the manual, including the scripts. Walking into a test session not having prepared may cause you to stumble through the directions and confuse the students. It is your responsibility to prepare the room for testing prior to test day. Your campus testing coordinator should let you know ahead of time if you will be administering a test with accommodations. Be sure that you understand what accommodations to provide and to what students they should be provided. You are responsible for counting your materials when you pick them up and verifying that they are counted when you return them at the end of the session. If your campus has a pre-check day, you will count the materials ahead of time and the materials will be stored as verified. You need to post a Do Not Disturb sign on each door of the testing room. Be sure that if the door has a window, you aren't blocking the view. This allows campus and district staff to monitor the test session without disturbing the test session. Also, be sure you know what to do if a student arrives in your room after the test has started. Your campus testing coordinator can give you specific guidance. On test day, prepare and distribute materials in accordance with the state and district policies. Be careful when you have a student with similar names. Often they won't speak up. Ensure that you are following proper testing procedures at all times and that you are actively monitoring the test sessions. This includes hallway monitors. Monitoring a hallway is just as important as monitoring a test session. Regularly remind students to mark their answers on the answer document and check when they return the answer document. Watch for pins and liquid pencil. These will not scan. The student will receive a score of 0, and it's an active monitoring testing irregularity. You cannot check, mark off, or require students to use testing strategies during the assessment. And no one other than students may erase stray marks or darken ovals. If you find that a student has bubbled anything in the demographic area of the answer document, have them erase it before the end of their time limit and notify your campus testing coordinator. Do not erase it yourself. Before you return your materials to the campus testing coordinator, you should check that each student has written their name on the test booklet and the test booklet number on their answer document as stated in the SAY directions. Separate the answer document from the test booklet and ensure that you have every answer document and test booklet provided to you. Remember, you can't darken ovals or erase stray marks. Complete all documentation and return everything to your campus testing coordinator. Check your bucket or tote one last time before you leave the room to be sure you have everything. Test security and confidentiality is an integral part of the assessment program in Royse City ISD. Our attention to detail when preparing for the assessment allows each student to have the best possible testing environment while ensuring validity and reliability of the assessments. Thank you for doing your part to ensure the success of all of the students in Royse City ISD.